Hey, what's happening? Happy Sunday. It's been a while since I did a live stream here. And I wanted to just share something that I've been thinking about recently. I've been studying the work of a guy called Dr. Zach Bush, and I'll be sharing a lot more of his content inside our community, inside this group. And I've definitely written about him before on my blog at garethpickering.com. But I want to talk today about the superpower of asking for help and why that's such an important thing. And before I get to exactly what asking for help has to do with anything, I want to just share something we've been speaking about quite a lot in this group, and that's this idea of being authentic and how asking for help can help you be more authentic and show up more in your authenticity. And I also want to talk about the global pandemic and what's happening with masks and how that has anything to do with authenticity. So if you start to understand and study the law of attraction, you start to understand that you're able to behave and start to vibrate in a specific way, and that becomes your reality. That's how you attract more money into your life. That's how you attract more happiness into your life. It's not that you wait till some point in the future and then the things come together and you're suddenly happy. You need to start being happy now, because that's what then starts to manifest in the world around you. As we start to see that we're all connected, it makes more sense that if we look around and we see the world in turmoil, it's probably because it's a collection of a whole lot of people in that world that are also in turmoil. And so what does that have to do with masks? I think that the external manifestation of all of us having to physically put masks on is really a representation of the energetic masks that many of us are wearing all the time as we move out into the world from an unauthentic place. We don't show the truest version of ourselves to the world. We're continually putting on these masks to be somebody else that we think the world wants us to be. I need to be Gareth, a successful entrepreneur who's got all of his shit together and never has any problems in his life. And as soon as I do, I have problems in my life or I have something that's not going well, I see somebody and I'm like, okay, put on a mask. How are things going, Gareth? Yeah, they're good. When actually they're not good. And what happens in that moment, I move out of my authenticity with the people that are closest to me. And so before we move into how asking for help makes a difference, I want to just explain, in my opinion, what authenticity means. And for me, authenticity is made up of three really important parts. In order for you to be completely authentic as you move into the world, you need to make sure that you've got these three things in place. And I'm going to mention them. They're going to come out pretty easily. But for many of us, getting these three things right can be really difficult because it requires letting go of some old programming, letting go of some old stories, and letting go of some strategies that we run in our lives that have got us to this place. And if we want to move in authenticity and show up fully for the people that we care about and be able to live a full and happy life, we need to take off these masks and live in our authenticity. So, what are these three things? I think that the first thing that we need for authenticity is to truly be able to own our desires. What does that mean? That means it's okay for you to want whatever it is that you want. Whether it's money, whether it's 3 partners, whether it's a polyamorous relationship, whether it's a life of celibacy, whether it's to live in a cave by yourself, whatever those things are, we need to be able to completely and fully own our desires and be okay with them. Because as soon as we're not okay with owning our desires, we move out of authenticity. So let's say, for example, Gareth, 10 years ago, really just wanted to travel the world and live a relaxed and chilled life. But actually, I had a story in my world that I needed to show up in the world and make money and be successful and build my business. And some people in my world, including me for a while, believed I needed to get married and spend the rest of my life with a specific partner. That, when I really tuned in deeply, wasn't my authenticity, and I wasn't able to truly own my desires. And so I spent my life on a path making money, thinking that my happiness was somehow linked to that path. So that's the first thing. Are you able to truly own your desires? The second thing is, are you able to be completely honest, 100% honest with yourself, as well as the people in your life? Because many of us aren't able to be completely honest about who we are. And this is linked to owning your desires, because if you're not able to be completely honest with yourself, you spin some story that says, I'm really happy doing what I'm doing now, or this is the best job I've ever had, and I'm really grateful that I've got the promotion, when actually you're sort of happy. But if you were completely honest with yourself and the people around you, you would really be able to own the fact that, you know what, I'm not feeling absolutely amazing right now. And so as soon as you're able to be completely honest, you're able to be more authentic with somebody else. And the last one is, so the first one is owning your desires. The second is being completely honest. And the third is not taking responsibility for anybody else's experience. This last piece that I'm sharing with you right now is absolute gold for me. It's absolute gold for most people in South Africa and most people that live in a Western country, where we somehow believe or have been conditioned or programmed or told that whatever it is that we do, if it makes somebody happy, that's good. And if we do something that makes somebody else sad or unhappy or triggered or pissed off with me, that somehow I'm to blame for that. But as soon as we realize that if I do something in this world, I make this live stream, and today I make a live stream and I get a whole lot of people that say, this is absolutely amazing. That is amazing, and it has nothing to do with me whether you like this live stream or not. This is me being in my authenticity and showing up talking about something that feels true for me. At the same time, if I show up and do the same live stream and it triggers you and you say, Gareth, you're such an asshole, you're so full of yourself, whatever it is, thank you, and I'm not responsible for your experience. And this is such a liberating thing to be able to feel for me, because for so long, I somehow moved through the world trying to keep people happy, trying to show up and be like this guy. I put on a mask to be this person. I would go and do something and I would say, just make sure everybody was okay with it. And then if I did something and somebody got upset, I would spend a lot of my life force making sure that I was explaining myself and making sure that they were okay with my decision. It's not about not keeping friendships and making sure that people understand your perspective, but it is about realizing that as long as you're moving in your authenticity, you're not responsible for anybody else's experience. And so if somebody loves what you do, celebrate it and keep on doing what you're doing. If somebody hates what you're doing, celebrate it and keep on doing what you're doing. So if any of you have ever struggled with any of these three, this idea of not being able to own your desires, and owning your desires can mean like, I want to make $10 million. Be completely okay with that. It's okay to want that. You don't have to feel ashamed because you want to make money. Likewise, you may say, I'm not interested in money at all. I want to go and save the pandas or free dive with whales. Owning your desires is so important. And it comes from the second one, which is being completely honest with yourself. How can you be completely honest with yourself about what it is that you want? And then be completely honest with the people in the world around you, so that you can stay in your authenticity in every moment. So being honest is something I could speak for ages and ages and ages about. And I might do another vlog about radical honesty because it's so important. And the third one, which I unpack now, was this idea of not taking responsibility for anybody else's experience. Because as you become more authentic and you start to do the things that you want, any time that you triggered or you spend too much time in adoration because of something that somebody else has said, you start to move away from your authenticity. So I wanted to share those three pieces with you first. So write in the comments here if you've ever battled with any of these, if you've ever had some story where you feel guilty about the things you want, or you're not able to be completely honest with yourself or the world about what your dreams are because maybe your world doesn't allow you to be that person. And then the last one is, this was so big for me. Like I spent so much time worrying about what other people think. What if they think I'm, not good enough? What about these things? So this last piece links into the last piece of my story. And this is this idea of asking for help. So there was a time in Johannesburg where I was desperately unhappy. I'd probably spent 3 years of my life. I spent 10 years of my life building my business. For the last 3, I had just broken up with my long-term girlfriend. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And so I continued to do what I had done before, which was work hard on my business, make money. And then coming from a place of emptiness and loneliness, I didn't really know what to do. So I would go out at night with all this money that I was making and go to all the bars and drink. And I was taking quite a lot of drugs at the time. And I was looking for validation in my world through making sure that the world thought I was okay. I had this persona of being a successful bachelor, and that was the person that I really wanted to be. And I worked hard to make sure that this was the person that I needed to be. But when people close to me, like my friends and my family, would be like, hey, how's it going? Despite feeling empty inside, I would be like, yeah, great. Business cool, everything's fine. Putting on a mask, not being completely authentic, not being completely honest, concerned about the experience that somebody else was going to have from my answer. It moved me completely out of my authenticity. And what that does is you can never build a strong connection with somebody that you care about when you're not being completely authentic. Because imagine this, you and me are best friends. We sit down at the bar to have a beer. You've known me for 10 years. And you say to me, hey, Gareth, how's it going? And I go, yeah, no, good, business fine, da, 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 da. So I say one thing, but energetically, I give out another signal, which is actually things are not fine. There's a part of us that really is able to read the energetic signature from another person. The animal inside of us picks up the energy and the body language long before the words do. So what happens is when I say that to you and I go, everything's fine, all good, there's a part of you that goes, like something inside shifts because you heard me say everything's fine, but your energetic signature, your gut, knows that it's not fine because it can feel that things are not fine. And so in that moment, there's no ways that you and I can connect 100% in that place because I haven't been able to be completely authentic with you. And so what happens is our friendship starts to move in a different direction. Hey, Gareth, is everything still cool? Yeah, still fine, all good. And every time that happens, we move a little further and a little further and a little further away from each other until eventually we don't know each other at all because our entire friendship is built on this 25 different masks of exactly who I'm trying to show up to be, when actually what I really should be saying to you is, hey, George, thanks for checking in, bro. I am so lost at the moment. My business is making money, but I feel so empty. All I'm doing is drinking alcohol and going out and chasing girls and partying, and that's really where I'm at. And actually, I'm in a pretty shit place at the moment. In that moment, I've done two things. I've been authentic, and I've been honest, and I've asked for help. And for many of us, specifically those people in male bodies, men, we're not good at asking for help. We have some story that men are always supposed to show up and always have everything under control. And what happens is when you do that, you continually create the space where we think everything has to be always under control. But when I don't have it under control, I'm not being vulnerable and I'm not being honest. And you and I lose that connection. And so this was a really, really important lesson for me to learn. And I didn't learn it then. I learned it afterwards, looking back. And I was like, how were the people closest to me ever supposed to love me and get to know me if I wasn't able to be honest and reach out when I needed it? Because what tends to happen is 5 people sitting in a bar, all of them have got a problem of some sort, and you have a conversation at surface level about sport and what's happening and the weather and Donald Trump. But actually at the bottom, it's like, I'm battling with this, my business is in trouble, I'm having a problem with my wife, whatever those things are. You don't get to connect at that human, most basic level. And it really is such a superpower to be able to reach out and to say to somebody, hey, thanks for checking in. Actually, I'm a bit lost at the moment. And I know that when I look back at those times, when I sat in the bar with the people that cared about me the most and they said, hey, how's it going? And I didn't ask for help. And I didn't tell them that I was battling or that I was in a place that I felt uncomfortable. I never gave them the opportunity to be able to own their own story. I never gave them the chance to be able to help me out, which in a lot of ways is taking away the gift that somebody else has to help. So if you and I sat down in a bar and you said to me, Gareth, I'm really so stuck at the moment. My business is up against the wall. I'm broke. Whatever the story is, suddenly I can show up for you and say, hey, bro, let me see if I can get you some clients. Let me see if I can lend you some money. Whatever the story is, now we're having a conversation at a real and an authentic level, which is really what this world needs. It doesn't need any more stories of everything's fine or that, I've got this. Actually, we need to show up in authenticity and be able to say, you know what, actually at the moment, I really need some help. And this story has one more little thread that I want to share. And this was when Matt and myself did a live stream about, I think the title of the live stream was 5 things that men need to do to show up more authentically. And one of the things we spoke about was asking for help. When we did this, obviously it's a vulnerable space to have a vlog like this where I talk about the time that I was depressed and my life wasn't together and I didn't ask for help. But when we spoke about this, a friend of ours who was watching this had been in his own head for a couple of months. His business is based in tourism, and the lockdowns had meant that he wasn't getting tourists into his business, and he needed some money to be able to pay his bills. And he's an amazing human being. He's got loads of friends and lots of people that support him, and he's shown up and supported so many people, but he had this mask that he needed to keep on doing this on his own. When he heard us talking about this idea of wanting to ask for help, it landed with him in a way that he decided, you know what, I'm just going to put it out onto social media and say, hey, if I've ever inspired you or we've had a journey before, I could really use some help at the moment. I'm up against the wall because my business is based on tourism and tourism is flat at the moment and I could use some help. So here's my PayPal details. If you could help me, it would really be useful. And within a few hours, people showed up for him because suddenly we knew that this person that we love needed something. And obviously we all need something at some point, but most of us try and do it all on our own and we don't ask for help. And so we put on a mask and we soldier on. And when you see the person and you say, how's it going? If his business is tough and he says everything's fine, I go, he said it was fine, but I didn't feel it was fine. And it feels like we never really get that intimate human connection that all of us need so deeply right now on the planet. And so asking for help is a superpower, and it aligns you even more with your authenticity. It's like taking off your mask, revealing yourself and standing in your power and saying, at the moment, I could really use a hug. I could really use a coffee just to talk, or I could use some money, or whatever it is. But the ability to be able to ask for help is such a superpower, and it's something we need in the world now more than ever. And if you're able to show up and help other people, then please do that. And so I'm putting this out there and sharing with you that if there's anything at the moment that you need help with, share it in the comments below, share it inside this community, because we're building a community of people that are showing up authentically. And part of that authenticity is not saying everything's fine when it's not. It's saying, you know what, actually things are not fine in my world at the moment and I could use some help. And so we're creating content here to support our community. We're creating a community that's there to show up in authenticity for one another. And I'd encourage you, if you have anything happening in your world at the moment in all this craziness, please don't put on another mask to say that everything's fine, when actually the best thing you could do is reach out to your loved ones or reach out to this community or a friend and be like, hey, can we go for a coffee? Because I just need to unpack something and I could use some help at the moment. Because we're human beings, we need help and we need community to be able to show up for each other. And so I hope that this helps you, and I hope that you have a beautiful Sunday. There's so much stuff happening in this group. We've got another live stream happening later this week. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to be on yet, but it may have something to do with femininity, and we've got a cool guest that is lined up who may be happening this week. So keep an eye on this group, keep sharing the amazing memes. If you're looking for specific content to get your law of attraction journey popping off, the units tab inside this group has a whole series of videos that you can go through, from designing your perfect day to creating a digital vision board, a whole series of content that you want to go through. If you're looking to next level your law of attraction journey, go to livemoreperfectdays.com/start, and you can start designing your life for free with our My Perfect Day system. It's a powerful, powerful system to help you get clear on exactly what it is that you're calling into your life. And then a series of programs that you can follow to help you get the law of attraction working for you consistently. So please feel free to share this video with somebody that you think could use some help at the moment. Or maybe you've been in that conversation with a friend that's been like, hey, Gareth, how's it going? And Gareth said everything was fine. But deep down, when you tuned in on honestly and authentically to you, you didn't think that he was. Reach out to him. This is the time when humanity needs to stand together, and maybe you need to reach out to the Gareth that needed some help. So share this video with them, and thanks for being part of this community. Have a beautiful Sunday.